Okay, just before we crack into today's video, let me explain how you can help us. More and more Kiwis are waking up to the fact that New Zealand is in big trouble right now. So how can we turn this country around? The answer is through education. What does that mean? Well, it means exposing more and more people to our videos. It's as simple as that. Just click on the subscribe button on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, and you'll be subscribed. What happens then? Well, when you subscribe, YouTube sends our videos out to more Kiwis. That's how it works. Subscribing is free. You'll never be charged anything. It's just that simple. So please do it and then enjoy the rest of the video. Thank you very much for watching. Just by subscribing, you can play a big part in the solution to fixing New Zealand. Well done, you. Well, hi, you beautiful New Zealanders. In today's video, I'm going to talk about how Maori TV reported my treaty bill oral submission. So let's dive into this. In this video, number one, I show you the news item aired by Maori TV on my treaty bill oral submission. Number two, I commentate all the way through the news item. And number three, I end with a challenge to ask you to commit to a deeper commitment to join in and stop the Maori takeover in New Zealand. So let's watch this together. Okay, first up, I want you to notice who was in the select committee room when Julian Batchelor makes his submission. Ex-Prime Minister Geoffrey Palmer is there, Willie Jackson is there, Ferris, the Te Pāti Maori MP, is there. See, it's stacked with activists. Palmer is himself a well-known activist. In the description of this video, there is an article explaining the great failures of Geoffrey Palmer, so be sure to see that. Okay, let's crack into the video.
I want to stress, looking forward, the importance of the committee considering the fact that process is everything, because I wish to argue in front of you that the process that led to this bill's introduction was fundamentally flawed.
The bill is irretrievably flawed and should waste no further resources of the House nor our nation's tolerance.
He tākaro i nā take reregang ki te rapu he hate tikanga i nā tēnei mema pāremata e whai ana i tōna tika.
Notice the still shot of the hearing just before I gave my oral submission. Notice Geoffrey Palmer. Notice Ferris. You can't see Willie Jackson at this stage, but he's there. He's next to James Meagher, the chairman.
As with this bill, there is an assumption that the practice of equality must look the same. This bill will not address that inequality. It perpetuates it.
Kua riro noa atu te tikanga Maori i nā itukuna.
Anyone who claims Maori did not cede sovereignty is living in denial, which is not just a river in Egypt.
Just pause this video for a second. Go back and watch the chairman, James Meagher, again. What's he doing with his right hand in the middle of Julian Batchelor's presentation? I'll tell you what he's doing. He's sending a text message on his phone, not focusing on what Julian is actually saying. This is disgraceful for the chairman. This is the guy who's supposed to be focusing on what's being said, but he's not.
The cry of Maori activists today to claim superior status over all other citizens has no foundation in the treaty. In fact, it's a massive breach of the treaty.
Just to refresh, this is what I actually said in the oral submission. I said Article 3, Maori are equal before the law with all other citizens. What about Article 3? It reads as follows: in return for the cession of their sovereignty to the Queen, the Maori people of New Zealand shall be protected by the Queen of England, and the rights and privileges of British subjects will be granted to them. That's what Article 3 says. So when Maori in 1840 became British citizens, they automatically became equal before the law with all other citizens. So I said the cry of Maori activists today to claim superior status over all other citizens has no foundation in the treaty. In fact, it's a massive breach of the treaty. That's what it is. Once again, when they say these things, their minds have drifted into what I call treaty fantasy land. Therefore, if politicians want to be faithful to the treaty and not themselves breach the treaty, they have no choice but to make David's third principle law. That is, that all New Zealanders are equal under the law with the same rights and duties. There you go.
Hei kia he kia parata e kore te ahua porotehi e ngaro putanoi te motu kia e rāno te tautihi tikanga Māori.
Trashing their 1840 elders, breaching the treaty, and ought to be charged with treason. When they say these things, their minds have drifted into what I call treaty fantasy land.
So just to refresh, this is what I said. Maori ceded sovereignty. That's absolutely what they did. So what about Article 1? It says this: the chiefs of the Confederation of United Tribes and the other chiefs who have not joined the Confederation cede to the Queen of England forever the entire sovereignty of their country. Here in Article 1, the chiefs ceded sovereignty completely and forever. You can get no other meaning out of that than that. So what does this mean? It means Maori handed over the complete control of their country to the British forever. Entire means entire, all of it. See the word entire in there? It's crucial. Not partial control, but entire control. Not the British ruling over just the British, but ruling over all citizens, including all Maori. Again, this is according to the plain reading of the treaty. When Maori talk of establishing a dual government, they are trashing their 1840 elders who did not agree to a dual government. They're breaching the treaty because this is not what the 1840 chiefs agreed to, a dual government. And they ought to be charged with treason, for this is what it is. Now let me show you what the definition of treason is so that you can see how Maori calls for their own sovereignty and a dual government are absolutely just treason. So watch. So here's a good definition of treason. It says treason is defined as the most serious crime in common law involving betrayal of one's own country through actions such as espionage or attempts to overthrow the government. So anybody who attempts to overthrow the government is guilty of treason. That's what it says. And there's the reference. And most dictionary definitions give something very, very similar, so we're on safe ground. So treason is when a person acts against the country. Do we have evidence that Maori activists today want to overthrow the government? Well, absolutely. The answer is yes. So here's a book called Hei Puapua, the Blueprint for the Breakup of New Zealand. So what's this all about? And Vision 2040. In his acclaimed book, Hei Puapua, the Blueprint for the Breakup of New Zealand, Dr. John Robinson, arguably New Zealand's most trustworthy historian and capable researcher, details the significance of 2040 for the Maori activists. So what does he say? He says this: by 2040, many of the activists and iwi leaders intend a totally dual government with separate Maori and non-Maori houses of parliament and a Maori veto on all legislation. Now that's the important bit, a Maori veto on all legislation. What does that mean? A Maori veto on all legislation means private tribal companies have the final say on everything that goes on in New Zealand, on what laws and legislation are passed and accepted in both houses of parliament. See, there's another key word, both. So what does that mean? Dr. Robinson goes on to say the words in the Hei Puapua report insist that power, full authority, must go to Maori. In other words, Maori have made it really plain and clear that through Hei Puapua, that report, that they want to take over the whole country. And they're not even ashamed of it. And what is this really? Well, it's treason. That's what it is. If you try and take down the government that exists now, you're guilty of treason. And what are politicians doing? Absolutely nothing. Watching the country being stolen from right underneath their noses and doing nothing about it. This is a criminal offence. Dr. Robinson goes on to say the proposal of Mai Tiki Mai Aotearoa gives the iwi leadership around 3/4 of the power to rule the entire country, together with a veto on the joint sphere, that's the other quarter. Everyone else will be disenfranchised. That means that everybody else will lose all their rights. This is a blueprint for the complete rule of New Zealand by a determined minority. There it is. It's really out there. That's what he says. It's treason. There's no other word for it. Watch this Kiri Waititi speech, the wife of Rawiri Waititi, the co-leader of the Maori Party. This is absolutely revealing. Again, this is just treason talk. And it's clear as a bell. So watch.
Are we going to wake the fuck up and realize that continuing to fuck around in a system that was designed to fuck us up is going to keep fucking us up? Over 180 fucking years, we've subscribed to a system that treats us like fucking second-class citizens in our own country. It's never changed. We think it's got better and it hasn't. And every little incremental benefit we get, we think, getting closer and closer to mana motuhake. We're full of shit. Mana motuhake doesn't lie in that place and it never ever will. But at what point do we fucking decide that enough is enough? Investing in a system that's feasting off our failure is enough. When do we stop talking about tino rangatiratanga? When do we stop talking about sovereignty? I am the sovereign. When do we start acting in that? When do we start moving from the attitude of I am the sovereign to behaving in the attitude of I am the sovereign? By design, we are not unified, right? And you just imagine, just take one fucking minute of your day to imagine if we were all on the same page. Not for my own little iwi or my own little hapu or my own little whānau. If we happen to be, just imagine, all on the same page for the sake of all of our mokopuna, Maori mokopuna. Can you imagine the might and the power that we would have? We could overthrow any government. We could do whatever the fuck we wanted.
Well, that's pretty clear, isn't it, really? She says, quote, "If we all got together, we could overthrow any government. We could do whatever the F we wanted," unquote. That's as clear as a bell, isn't it? Remember the dictionary definition of treason that I had right at the beginning? It says this, quote, "Treason is defined as the most serious crime in common law involving betrayal of one's own country through actions such as espionage or," and this is the important bit, "attempts to overthrow the government." Those are the very words that she used. Wasn't it? Well, it was. I heard it. Did you hear it? It's right there. Well, keep watching because there is more to come. Watch.
When are you going to start acting in your sovereign? And while you're thinking about that, you might as well also start thinking about how we're going to take our country back too.
Well, what did media commentators think about the speech by Kiri Waititi? Well, what did they think? Let's hear. Michael Laws was one. He sums it up well. Listen.
And remember, Tamahiri Waititi has threatened the overthrow of the state. And remember, Tamahiri Waititi has threatened the overthrow of the state. And remember, Tamahiri Waititi has threatened the overthrow of the state.
I think this is the problem we face. Either that rant is just that, a rant, a rather, foul-mouthed and an extremely angry rant, or that person was speaking for a large number of people, and if she is speaking for a large number of people, and if what turns out today is a large number of people, then we're in trouble, because what that rant said was, we can detach ourselves from New Zealand society, we can refuse to cooperate, and that's putting it in the kind.
We can launch our own full-on attack, was the actual words.
Exactly.
So what we have here is treason being advertised for all to see. It's just really out there. First through official documents like Hei Puapua and Mai Tiki Mai, and then we see these documents backed up by so-called speeches from prominent Maori leaders. Any Maori leader who speaks about or suggests or who advertises overthrowing the government ought to be immediately charged with treason, for this is what it really is. Why aren't they being? And here's the picture of the act, punishment for treason or attempted treason, and it carries a 14-year jail sentence. So there you go. That's what should be happening really in our country right now. Yeah? That's what should be happening. This is what they did in 1860, between 1860 and 1880 in New Zealand, with Maori tribes, the Kingi-Tonga movement, breaching the treaty and rebelling against the colonial government. Well, what's changed? And what is the government doing about it today? Answer, absolutely nothing. They're doing nothing about this. In fact, it's worse. They're actually pushing it along. Successive governments, rather than being quick to recognise and punish treason, have foolishly chosen instead to fuel the fires of treason by supporting the activist cause. Can you believe this? So they're just making foolish choices. For example, Maori culture and religion being forced upon teachers and students at all levels of our education system, from kindy till the end of university. A whole generation of children has been and are continuing to be brainwashed on a daily basis. In the description of this video, there is an excellent piece by Rodney Hyde who reports on what is being taught in his local high school. And you know what? It's not just Rodney's high school. It'll be the same for every school in the country. So please take time to read this. It's obvious from what Rodney says that children are being prepared to join in with the overthrow of the government. How are they being prepared? Well, they're being groomed to be anti-white people, anti-colonialism, to favour tribal rule and to embrace all things Maori. That's all sowing what I call the seeds of treason by stealth. See that photo going on? It's preparing the young generation coming through to join in to topple the existing government. But the education system is not the only place where the seeds of treason are being sown. So where else is this happening? Well, it's happening in the medical profession, the police, law students, real estate agents, medical centres, local councils. The list is endless. All are currently being subjected to heavy Maori propaganda. And what's the motive behind this motivation? Well, that's the big thing, is the ulterior motives that are behind this. It's not what you think it is. It's treason. It's to groom the country, getting it ready for Maori takeover. It's treason dressed up as honouring the treaty or Maori rights or cultural safety. Name changes to towns, street name changes, Maori government department names in Maori, any co-governance arrangement, the hijacking of our city councils, Maori-only fishing areas, taking the seabed and the foreshore, And the latest is Ngāi wanting all the rights to the fresh water in the South Island. All of this is treason by stealth. So where is all this headed? Come on, where are we all going with this? What's the end game? As I have said, it's complete control of the country by Maori by 2040. That is the big date that we are heading towards. This is treason by increment. That's what it really is. Okay, back to the Maori TV show reporting on my oral submission.
Kei ro tētana piripono kia Seymour, te pāoro o te pono o tēnei pire.
The historical record shows without doubt that from 1840 onwards, Maori went on to sell 92% of their land. It was not stolen, which is another Mount Everest-sized lie trotted out by activists with regular monotony today. It was sold.
I nā te kaharira te kōrero ka pau te tekau miniti e kore e ahei.
So what do we have here? Well, we have Willie Jackson. Notice Willie Jackson in his body language. Oh, he's not a happy camper. Look, he's not even looking at the screen. He's got his head turned away. There you go.
Ki te whakahoki pātai.
Julian, I'm sorry to interrupt. That's the 10 minutes for our time today. Thank God for that.
You know what? Maori activists are desperate to deny that the chiefs in 1840 ceded sovereignty. Really, they can't do that. Now, this is where it gets really interesting. Straight after my submission, someone called Maui Solomon comes on the Select Committee oral submission. Radio New Zealand reports that he's a barrister and a solicitor. He pulls out a well-worn Maori activist story, which I have refuted in another video. The line they use goes something like this, and by the way, they all share this story around, and they all use it. It goes like this, quote, "Why would 100,000 Maori, who were fiercely independent and governing New Zealand well, give up their country to 2,000 settlers who didn't speak their language? It just doesn't make sense, and they wouldn't do this," unquote. So there's lots of variations, but that's basically the story that they tell. So widespread is this, quote, line, unquote, to try and fool the public that I made a video refuting it. I've put a link to this video in the description of this video. It's called "One of the Greatest Lies Used by Maori to Try and Fool the Public." Notice that Maori activists only ever argue with opinions, never with facts. Why is this? Because on the issue of sovereignty, it's impossible to prove that they didn't cede. That's just the way it is.
The statement that these chiefs and these rangatira would voluntarily give up their tēnā rangatira or their sovereignty to a queen sitting over in London is, to use Mr. Batchelor's words, absolutely delusional.
So here's a must-read for us. I have written a paper entitled 12 Irrefutable Proofs that the Maori chiefs ceded sovereignty in 1840. You can read this online and download it. The issue of ceding sovereignty, like I said, is a huge problem for Maori activists because really they have no way of wriggling out of Article 1 of the treaty, which says, quote, "The chiefs of the Confederation of United Tribes and the other chiefs who have not joined the Confederation cede to the Queen of England forever the entire sovereignty of their country," unquote. So what I'd like you to do is try and memorize the 12 points as bullet points, and then you'll be really gung-ho when you come to discussions with people. You'll know what you're talking about. All right, thanks for listening. That's enough for today, and you guys are awesome. Okay guys, that's enough for today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Now we need your help with something. This is important. We have produced some great flyers and brochures which we want to get into the hands of all New Zealanders. So we need to go around the mainstream media. They're not going to help. In fact, they're making things a lot worse. So we have to go around them. And we need your help to make this happen. We can't do this without you. So what are we talking about? First, there is our business cards. They're only 3 cents each plus courier to get them to you. Then there is our latest booklet called The Psychology of Takeover, 19 strategies Maori activists are using to take over the country. It's 80 pages and packs a huge punch. So they're cheap, they're $3, and they're absolutely fantastic if you want to get a handle on what's actually happening in New Zealand. Then we have a few thousand of our original Stop Co-Governance booklets left over from my tour in 2023. Remember these? You'll remember we printed 550,000 of these. Well, these are now free because we realized that only about a third of New Zealand houses got this booklet last when I did my tour, and so we want to get to the other 2/3. So if you do a few streets around where you live, that would be absolutely phenomenal, and they are free now. Then we have our MACA, that's Marine and Coastal Act brochure 2, which alert people to the loss of our beaches. You know, we're in danger of losing all the beaches around New Zealand. The text is written by Graham Adams, who's a great author. These are now free. And then we have our beautiful bumper sticker, which we've just made. And why are we doing this? Well, New Zealand's identity is under threat. We know that. First activists have and are still trying to change the name of New Zealand to Aotearoa. We don't want that. We must oppose this. This is rubbish. Where's the referendum saying that we want to change the name of the country? There was none. It was just forced on us. Second, Maori sovereignty flags are appearing more and more all over the place, and they're just treason. So we've got to get these bumper stickers out. So we've printed some awesome bumper stickers. packets. They're $3 each, and they measure 21.5 by 6.5, so you can see how big that would be on your car. To get any of these free products, all you need to do is pay for the courier to get them to you. For the products that cost something, like the bumper stickers or the little psychology booklet, it's the cost plus the courier to get them to you. So to order any of these products, just use this email address, cards@stopcogovernance.kiwi, and we'd love to hear from you. Finally, if you want to access all the videos we've ever made, including all our most viewed and most popular videos, and have them all in one place, which is what people are asking for, then just type in this address into your browser. There it is there, https www.youtube.com/@stopcogovernance, and you'll find it goes straight to our channel. Then what you do is save this address to your computer as a favorite. Job done. Well done. Then you've got them all in one place forever. And all the new ones that are coming in get placed into that address, so you won't miss anything. Okay, last thing, please, oh please, don't forget to subscribe. When you subscribe, you'll get the latest videos straight into your inbox. You'll never miss a video, which is great. You'll link up with like-minded people all over New Zealand, and that's very, very stimulating to have meet up with all these people who think like you. You'll be telling YouTube, I like these videos, and they will respond by advertising our videos to more Kiwis for free. It's incredible what they do, but it just relies on you replying to comments and making comments and liking things and sharing things and activity. That's what it is. It's just activity on our channel. And turning New Zealand around is simply a matter of reaching more Kiwis with the truth. So just click on the subscribe button on the bottom right hand side of your screen. There, the little yellow arrow is showing you where it is, and you'll be subscribed. Okay, see you next time. You guys are awesome.